In today's video, I'm going to tell you the only thing that you should be copying from Roger Federer. Now, some of you guys are making me out to be the Roger Federer hater because I made a few videos talking about Roger Federer's technique and why you shouldn't be copying it. But this couldn't be further from the truth. I don't hate Roger Federer. I like him very much. Take a look at my hat. Take a look at my shirt. I'm a fan of the guy, okay? I have nothing against Roger Federer. However, I stand by my videos. Roger Federer's technique is a little bit unorthodox, and if you try to copy it, it's not going to work anyway. I don't see a lot of Roger Federers running around at the rec level. I've never seen anybody be able to successfully copy Roger Federer's strokes. And in today's video, I'm going to give you a quick overhaul why you shouldn't copy Roger Federer's stroke, and I'm going to go stroke by stroke. The forehand is very unorthodox in the fact that he extends the arm prior to going forward on the forehand. This is something that is going to be difficult to pull off for the simple reason that the vast majority of players play the forehand with a bent arm. But it's not only that. Roger Federer also plays his forehand with an Eastern grip. The grip that I teach for my players is a semi-Western grip. I don't necessarily have anything against the Eastern grip. If it comes natural to a player, I'm perfectly fine that they continue to use it. So the fact that Roger Federer has an Eastern forehand grip makes a big difference in the way his forehand looks. So for you to adapt Federer's forehand, you would need to have an Eastern grip and you would need to have full arm extension on the racket drop, something that most players struggle with. And when I say struggle with, there's absolutely nothing wrong if you can't do it. That just means that you're more comfortable playing the forehand with a bent arm, and it makes absolutely no sense to force these two technical elements if they don't come natural to you. Now on to the next shot, which is Roger's one-handed backhand. And here's the reason why you shouldn't copy Roger Federer's backhand is because he's extremely flexible and he's able to go all the way back with this racket like this. And a lot of recreational players have range of motion limitations when it comes to the backhand finish. Many of them can't go past this point. They can't get the racket to whip backwards and have the butt cap point towards the other side. If you're able to do this, continue doing it by all means. It is a great finish. However, many players struggle with it. And it's not only that. Federer, just like many other one-handed backhand players, is able to go very far back and have his hand go together. Sampras and Shapovalov can actually touch the hands behind the back. This is how flexible they are, and this is just something that's not very realistic at the recreational level. And if players try to copy Roger Federer's one-handed backhand finish, they might hurt themselves. Also, Roger Federer's one-handed backhand slice is something that's going to be difficult to pull off because Roger Federer has a very vertical slice. That means that he starts very high and he also goes very low. So you'll see his racket go way down before it starts going across on the other side. Now, when you do a slice like this, here's what's going to happen. I guarantee that you're going to start dumping a lot of your slices into the net. Many players are uncomfortable with this movement, and it is a stroke that's very difficult to pull off. It's not wrong by any means, but it's tough to pull off. What's a lot easier is the more common slice technique, for example, Rafael Nadal or Novak Djokovic, who don't go down quite as low as Federer. They will go slightly down after the contact and then pull the racket back up on this side. Federer's volleys are also not something that you should be messing with because Federer takes a large swing on the volley, meaning that he lags the racket behind quite far on his backhand volley and his forehand volley, and his swing is usually a more circular swing, very similar to how he hits a backhand slice. So on the backhand volley, Federer will go very high, he will go into the ball and then continue going across the body like this. Very difficult technique to pull off. It's not wrong by any means, but the much better option is to minimize the movement of the racket. I don't mind you lagging the racket behind a little bit. I don't mind you going across a little bit, but these movements should be minimized. If recreational players tried to hit a volley like Roger Federer and they took a big swing at it, they would not be able to control the ball. The same is true for Roger Federer's forehand volley. While the movements are a little bit more abbreviated on Federer's forehand volley compared to his backhand, they are still far too large for any recreational player to be able to successfully pull off. So again, what you should be doing instead of the volley is to have a small lag if the incoming ball doesn't have a lot of pace, and then to control the movement of the racket after contact. What I teach to the recreational level is to squeeze and freeze the racket at contact to be able to have the maximum amount of stability that's required to get the volley into the court consistently and cleanly. The reason why you shouldn't copy Federer's serve is for the simple fact that he's one of the only players who doesn't lean forward very much. You know, he also throws the ball closer to the baseline. What you will gain by throwing the ball more in front and by leaning in is, number one, throwing the ball forward will give you a better chance to get the serve in consistently, and most importantly, it will give you forward momentum, something that's very easy to do. It's a very effortless way to generate power, especially at the recreational level. So if you copy Roger's serve, unfortunately, you're not going to be getting much forward momentum. Now, he does get forward momentum. Don't get me wrong. Federer's serve is absolutely phenomenal, but it is a far more difficult way to get forward momentum the way he does it. The simple thing to do is to just throw the ball in front, lean forward slightly, and then let your body weight go into the shot. However, players who would like to copy Roger Federer's serve, they will throw the ball further behind. Now they will be loading exactly like Federer, bending like this, and now the body is going to be more straight up and down. And from this position, it's very difficult to go forward into the court. So what happens with a lot of players, they end up landing on the baseline, or in some cases, behind the baseline. A big problem at the rec level is when players rush the bottom portion of the surface motion. In other words, they will toss the ball too fast and they will take the racket back too fast. It looks something like this. They will just rush down here, and now often they lose control of the toss. It's very difficult to get a consistent toss. And also, because they took the racket back very fast here, they are forced to stop somewhere else along the way. A lot of times it's actually in the racket drop area. So unfortunately, Roger Federer does this. He has a very fast tempo on the bottom portion of his serve. If you watch Federer serve, you see that this part of the serve is very fast, and he kind of slows it down towards the trophy phase. Now, while Roger is an incredible athlete, he doesn't mind this style. This is something that feels comfortable to him, and he's able to serve phenomenally well with this style. However, at the rec level, this is unfortunately something that's not going to suit you well. What's a much better thing to do is to go slow to fast, to go very slowly on the bottom portion of your serve and then speed the serve up as that racket gets towards the trophy phase. What that will do to your serve is going to make the toss more consistent, and it's actually going to give you more power because your movement is going to be more continuous, and now you're not going to be forced to stop somewhere along the way. Now, you actually could copy Federer's overhead and backhand overhead. They're pretty conventional, but I've promised you I was going to tell you the only thing that you can copy from Roger, and those are his clothes. Roger Federer always has the best clothes, and for example, this hat is a Uniqlo hat. Now, I'm not sponsored by Uniqlo, but I wear this stuff because it's comfortable and it looks good. Also, the Uniqlo shirts are really cool. So if you're going to copy Roger Federer, copy his clothes, not his shots. Now, here's the thing that I want to make sure you guys understand. Roger Federer has all the correct fundamentals on the strokes that everybody else has on tour, and what you're most likely trying to copy are those stylistic elements. So of course you can copy Roger's fundamentals. I have absolutely no problem with that. However, the confusing thing is going to be, what are fundamentals in tennis? And a lot of you guys are confusing style with fundamentals, and I have a great series of videos titled Style versus Fundamentals, and I'm going to link them in the description below, and I'm going to be adding to this series in the near future. So in other words, you can copy Federer's fundamentals, absolutely, if you know what those are. There's no problem with that. And I'm not by no means trying to single out Federer. You can copy anyone's fundamentals. All high-level players have really sound fundamentals, or they wouldn't be at the high level. Now, why am I always picking Roger Federer? Because all you guys are copying Roger Federer. He is the most popular tennis player of all time, and I see it in person. I teach a lot of players online and in person, and I see a lot of you guys that come to see me who are adapting Roger Federer's technique. And I'm not trying to be a Roger Federer hater, I'm just giving you the facts. Federer's style is unorthodox and it suits him incredibly well, but it doesn't suit anybody else. And why am I saying this? Because there is no other Roger Federer, especially at the recreational level.